Welcome to the Waffle Shop podcast. Today, I'm joined by the phenomenally talented singer-songwriter Janet Devlin. Welcome to the
Hello.
Waffle Shop.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited that I'm going to say it now. I didn't want to say it before I hit the record button. I've wanted you on this show for ages.
Are you
Like,
serious?
yeah, no, I'm being
Oh.
genuine. No, I'm hand on heart. I'm being genuine. Purely because like your honesty, like your voice, like I've been a fan on since the X Factor days.
Wow.
And it's like, yeah. So when I was it was going down like more of a music route, and this season's all about like my favorite like voices and singers and stuff.
Mhm.
And I'm very fortunate that a lot of them are kind of saying yes. So thank you for
Oh
being here.
no, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. Also, do you feel old? Because it's like X Factor's like 10 years old since I was on it.
Yes, there's
Just
yes.
because I do. I
Okay,
do.
well okay. I'm glad you said that because that made me feel really weird then. So
No, it's just like a little reminder to people that I like to put in where it's like when you bond over like a 90s TV show and you're like, oh my God, that was how many years ago?
yeah.
Oh.
I struggle now from like 2 years. I feel like I've blinked and the past 2 years have gone. So the fact
Yeah.
that you've just said that's made me feel worse. So thank you for coming on the show and
You're
making me
very
feel
welcome.
better.
That's what I do. I love to spread negativity wherever I go. It's really my true passion in life.
Do you know what? Well, I think we just become best friends because I feel like that's what I did.
Absolutely.
No, positive vibes only.
Yes.
And that's what we have. Well, to be fair, I'm saying that as I go into this segment that I start each week called the
I was
Weekly Waffle,
thinking.
which is something that, quite frankly, it gets on my goat a little bit.
Mm,
So I'm going to say this right now. I'm going through a little bit of a breakup at the moment. So, I'm
oh,
starting the days with a little bit of a bad mood kind of
yeah,
thing.
I get it.
And so what's really annoyed me, well, today, is door handles. And bear with me, right? Not all
Yeah,
door
I'm holding
handles,
on. Don't worry.
but you never seem to like catch yourself on the door, or you never need like or bang your elbow on the door handle or anything like that, unless you're already in a bad mood.
Yeah, it never happens to you when you're in a good mood.
Yeah, ever.
It's always whenever you're just on your breaking point, it just turns into your 13th reason.
Yeah. And I thought that was going to be that was going to be my break or make or break thing of the day. But
Oh yeah,
obviously,
absolutely. I'm ready to jump off a cliff.
yeah, I'm
But it
like,
only ever happens when I'm having a bad day. It's like I'm already having crisis mode depression when I've woken up, and
yeah.
then the doors decided to go, do you know what? Let's just push you off the edge.
Yeah. And this is why, like, when you said, like, about you having to go back and, like, find your keys and stuff, like, that's what happened to me today. So I had to leave the house first thing this morning to don't go and do, like, a few errands,
Mhm.
forgot the things that I had to take with me to do the errands. So I had to come back to the
Mm.
house. Then, as I was leaving the house, my hoodie got caught on the door. And I was just like,
Oh,
well, that's it. That's happy Friday.
that's it. You've taken my will to live. What's next?
Exactly. What more can I give you? It's like,
Yeah.
you've took everything. Um, but now I'm sat here talking to you, so it's not all bad. So thank you. But yeah,
No,
that's
no.
what's
Thank
annoyed
you
me.
for sharing. This is a safe place.
Thank you. It is, really is. What winds you up? Have you got something that kind of really gets on your nerves?
Oh, I've got so many. I'm so easily annoyed. I'm not, but there are just a few things in life that just grind my gears. And it's all because of the way that I move about in this world. It's not the fault of anyone else. It's my own fault for these things annoying me because of how I've existed. So like I'm one of those people that like almost like shrinks away in public spaces. Like I try my best to take up as little space as I possibly
Yeah.
can because I don't want to get in anybody's way. Just politeness to like painstaking levels. So one of my pet peeves is when you're walking on the pavement or the sidewalk for the Yanks, and people take up an obnoxious amount of space. So be it like you're walking towards a family and they've got a buggy, husband, wife, child, and they're taking up the whole pavement, and you're like, why would you? Why are you so cruel? I have to step onto the streets like a peasant now because you refuse to move your clan of human beings. It is one of the biggest pet peeves of my life. And it hurts a part of my soul because I'm like, I would never, do that to someone. I would never take up the whole pavement and command it as my own.
Just walk around like this.
Yeah, like
Not do
aeroplaning
this.
on pavements. Like, this is what you guys do to me. So that is definitely one of my pet peeves. And the only other one that I really, really have is, it's when people's personalities are just being mean, where like their shtick is being mean. That is, for me, I'm like, are you not exhausted from that living inside of yourself? You know,
I find that really
is the lowest
interesting.
form.
Yeah, it's the lowest form of wit, isn't it?
Yes. But I think being mean is.
Yeah, and it's kind of people turn that into like their personality, like, oh, and everyone kind of then makes excuses for that person, like, oh, it's just how they are. I was like, no, they're being a dick. They're being a dick.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's no, that's
they're
not
actually saying things with like elements of truth in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm just like, I will not accept it. It's 2022. I'm over being mean as a personality trait. It's not cute. It's not quirky. It's exhausting. And I think you need to be put in adult timeout.
Yes, to the naughty step. And this goes for the same. I'm coming back to the kind of pavement etiquette, because I didn't realize it annoyed me till you said it.
Yeah, it's
I agree with you. I feel like they should teach this in schools.
Right.
You don't need to learn about certain shapes of triangles.
Take to the left side. Always walk on the left side.
Yeah. And because this is what made me think of this. So like in the olden days, it was like gentlemanly for the man to walk on the outside and then the woman to walk on the inside. Now everyone's walking in the road. Everyone's on, some of them are on scooters. There's prams. There's like, so no, I agree with you on that one.
Is, like, I hate myself for hating prams. I hate myself for hating prams. Like, I have a genuine, like, I hate it with the passion of 1,000 fiery suns, prams, because they're just so impractical for how much space. Like, a child is like yay big, but the pram is like 10 times the size of the Wayne that's living inside of it. And it just
then there's a bag. Then some of them have, and I'm fair, my friend's going to kill me for saying this because her son has one, like a little skateboard thing that's attached to the pram. And it's just like, next thing you know, you're pushing a people carrier down the road.
It honest, but like I'm aware that I shouldn't be annoyed at it, because I absolutely believe in mothers taking up spaces in public place, and you have just as much a right to be in the grocery store as everybody else. Like, absolutely do it. So it's my it's a dichotomy that I hate. It's just two conflicting opinions that exist within myself, that I believe that these women should take up as much room as they want, or men, but also I hate prams. I hate them. So yes, I'm aware that I'm a contradiction in that, but it's pet peeve.
Do you know what? I think that's probably one of my favorite ones that I've had on the show.
You're very welcome.
So I'm going to write that down and use it on a future one, because I've actually realized how much it annoys me too.
You're welcome.
Thank you for highlighting that triggering thing for me.
I'm so sorry. It just makes you feel like a bad person too, because you're like, I'm aware that this makes me an awful human being.
No, definitely not.
But definitely you combine the two and you get prams on pavements, and that's enraged levels.
It's a lot. And I think especially if you're in a hurry, and it's just like Sunday drivers and Sunday walkers, and it's
I can't cope. No, I'm
we need to like
I walk everywhere like I'm in a hurry. I don't know what it is about people that aren't straight, can't walk, can't dander, can't just like take in the scenery. You have to walk like you're on a mission for some reason.
Yes,
I've noticed. Yeah, and I'm not the only person that's noticed this about non-straight people. It's like you can't just joyfully walk somewhere. You have to walk like you're on a mission.
Like every day is a mission.
Every day is a mission. Existing is a mission. Mission
Life
Impossible.
is hard.
Although Mission Impossible makes no sense to me whatsoever, because it clearly wasn't that much of an impossible mission if there's 9 of the movies.
Yeah, and they always do it.
Yeah, so it's like,
and it's just the same with the Fast and the Furious films, because it's just like, how fast and furious actually are you? Because like, surely you dragged this out now for quite a while.
Yeah. Oh my god, that franchise is just never going to die.
It's never. I feel like it's older than us. Well, me, it's definitely older than you.
I don't even know when it came out. I remember watching it. I think I watched like 1, 2, and 3, and I was like, I'm over this. No.
Yeah. Never seen one of them.
Never seen one? Wow.
Never seen any of them.
I had 3 older brothers, so I was exposed.
Never seen an episode of Game of Thrones either.
I watched the whole thing. I enjoyed it up until the last season. But that's also one of my pet peeves, though. When people say, "Oh my God, sorry, you started something," and I have to bring it to this, is when people say, because you said it in a nice way, you're just like, "I haven't watched Game of Thrones," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I have." It's when people say that they haven't watched something as if that makes them quirky.
Yes,
Are
I'm
better
like
than
this.
you.
Yes, I'm like this with people who have Samsung phones. People who have
Oh,
Samsung phones like to remind people who have iPhones that, wow, you're just buying into like this whole thing. Well, my phone could do. I don't care. My phone can call me. I like how an iPhone looks. It's aesthetically
yeah,
pleasing for me.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I have an iPhone.
It's just trying to make you feel like a lesser of a person for the device
No,
that
I
you've
wasn't
chosen.
expecting this to be like you've like you'll have to
I've
do like a part
extended your
two to actually.
segment so much. You're like, I normally do this small segment, and I'm like, no, 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 no.
No,
This is
not
the
today.
whole podcast. It's just things that are pet peeves. Oh, I just
Oh,
can't start. I haven't seen it. And what, Sharon?
yeah.
And
No
what?
one asked
Like,
you to watch it, did
true
they? No one
story,
asked you to
bro.
watch it.
I hate it so hard. Oh my god, it's I'll calm down now.
Sure,
Okay.
yes, sure. Take a breather. Take a breather.
I need a moment, but
Namaste.
I'll be fine.
Namaste. Yes. Right. I obviously wanted you on the show. I talk about music a lot on this show, and I need to kind of pay another compliment to you as well, because I kind of want to talk before we get into like obviously your stuff. I want to talk about the covers that you do, because I think it's going to lead
Oh.
very nicely into what you do.
Mm.
One of the reasons why like I'm a huge fan of your voice is because you have this ability to turn every cover version into a Janet Devlin song. And it's like if I hadn't heard the original, I wouldn't think, oh, that's like an Elton John song or that's a Cure song. Like I would think that was your song. Well,
that means the world. Well,
yeah,
your song. Yeah.
yeah. If you pardon the pun.
The joke that never like ceases to follow me
I know.
around.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Okay.
It just happened.
Hey,
I promise.
if a
I
song is going to
promise.
haunt you forever, I am so eternally grateful that 16-year-old me picked your song, Elton John. At least there's that. You know, it wasn't a contemporary pop song.
Yeah.
Thank God.
You did it before it was. I mean, it was cool, but like you did it before it was cool.
I don't know what cool is, unfortunately.
Oh no, yeah, no, I don't. You're asking the wrong person.
Oh,
I literally.
I wish. Never been cool.
It's honestly, it's brilliant. And I was actually playing your songs the other day, and I was just playing it around the house, and I never knew this. So obviously, the situation I'm in at home, obviously my mom was very poorly. Obviously, it's just me and my sister at home now. My mom's in a neurological care home. And we always rely on music. Like music's like kind of like our go-to, like me and my sister and my mom. And your cover of Friday, I'm in Love, my sister got really emotional listening to, because apparently on a Friday afternoon when my mom used to pick my sister up from school, that's what my mom used to play in the car. So it was a memory that I didn't even know existed until I heard your cover of Friday I'm in Love. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, so thank you for that, because that was something that kind of, I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And then it just kind of gave the song then a whole new meaning for me. So yeah. Sorry.
Thank you for sharing that. It's so cute. I love it so much. Oh my God. I always just forget that anybody listens to any of my music. I forget that that's a thing that happens. I do. I don't think about people ever listening to my stuff. Like, because I listen to a lot of music. I think that's a given. But like, I never think about anybody listening to music the same way that I listen to music, if that makes sense. Because you don't put out an album and think, what are the people going to think? Like, what are they going to think about whenever they hear these things? It's very selfish. Making art is really selfish. It's like, I like it. So
that's it. That's all that matters.
That's honestly my approach to music making. So I never actually think, about how people interpret those things.
To be fair, that's actually really interesting. And I love having musical guests on the show for that exact reason, because I'm very open and honest when it comes to like my mental health and like music being a big coping mechanism for me. This is, to be fair, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you in particular, because you are very open with your like mental health and what you've been through. So would you agree, is like music one of your biggest coping mechanisms as well? Like, do you have that kind of like songs and albums that you go to that have kind of soundtracked that?
Definitely. Like, I definitely use music as a coping mechanism. It's either music or podcast for me.
Yeah.
Are the two coping mechanisms that I have, because sometimes I want to feel like I'm a part of a conversation that's going
Yeah.
on, and I listen to a lot of podcasts. But there are times where I just, if life's getting heavy or hard, just to be able to put on some music and just feel sorry for myself for a little bit, I
Love
enjoy
that.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
because I've had parts of my life where I've lost my feelings and I've just become numb,
Yeah.
and it's the most boring way to exist ever. And sometimes it's so nice to feel emotionally overwhelmed to the point where you're just like listening to a song and crying your eyes out. Like, it's something that I took for granted for years until I lost my feelings and got them back. Like, it's so therapeutic and cathartic to just cry your eyes out to music.
Yeah.
And yes, I listen to a lot of sad songs.
Have you ever looked out the window on a rainy day
Mhm.
and listened to a sad song and thought, I'm in this music video, I'm feeling this?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Every winter when Adele is on the radio, you're just like, Adele playing in the background, looking out the window while it's raining in the UK is just like an absolute mood in
It's
and of itself.
it's my favorite pastime. Like, I'm not even joking either. Like, Adele speaks to me on a level that I don't know. It's like sometimes there's certain songs that, and her lyrics speak to
Beautiful.
me like on a. Speaking of lyrics, I'm going to do this now while we're on this topic. There's one of your songs, Lifeboat.
Oh
Speaks
wow,
to me.
that's a throwback.
Yeah, but the lyrics, and I wrote these down, and I don't know how this song was made. I don't know the story behind it at all. But when I listen to this song, it kind of reminds me of like just how far I've come on this journey, and how I've kind of allowed people in that weren't necessarily the right people. And now I'm like, it's okay. Like, and I'm gonna read some of it out. It's like, save your scissors, for they are rusty now. I don't need a lighthouse to try and show me how. I don't need a lifeboat. I'm learning how to swim. It may look like I'm drowning, but I'm learning how to live. And I don't know if you can see like the goosebumps. I probably, but like, it genuinely, like, it's one of those songs that kind of like, you know what, like, fair play to you for like kind of weathering that storm, like keeping going and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm throwing loads of compliments at you. I feel like I'm
it's
fangirling
fine.
a little bit.
I think it's funny with that song. I was in such a dark place when I wrote that song. I was writing it for future me. Like, I was like, I will come out of this stuff. I'm gonna write my little song that's gonna make sense for me in the future. Because at the time, I literally felt like I was drowning. Everything was too much. That I needed help. But I knew that someday I'd be able to like look back at it and be like, no, I got this. And luckily I do have it now, thank God.
I was about to say, that was going to be my next question. Like, if it's not too deep, like, do you feel like you're at that point now where you're here?
Yeah, I've through lots of learning, through lots of psychiatry and therapy, I finally feel like, I paid for it. I paid to be in this position right now. It's an investment where I do feel like I have most things, I control most things, like even whenever I'm having a really, really bad day, because they still happen because I have borderline personality disorder and bipolar. So it's so fun. I love life. But it basically means that sometimes I have zero control over my emotions whatsoever, and I'm just riding out the storm. Whereas a lot of the times when it happens and I get these episodes of that, I'm just like, it's fine. It'll be fine. Whereas in the past, when I was younger, especially at the time when I wrote that song, like, I didn't know it was going to be fine.
Yeah.
I just remember everything was so overwhelming and terrifying at the time. But it's nice to know now, especially with age, the older and uglier you get, the more you're just like, it's gonna be grand. It's awful. Don't take it away from it. Like, it sucks so hard, but like it'll pass, just like everything else.
No, I love that, and it's and I think the word storm kind of perfectly kind of sums up your journey so far. Because obviously, you, like you mentioned earlier, like you were 16 when you kind of stepped out on that stage on X Factor. Obviously, that was the first time the world kind of knew who you were, and then overnight it was like, bam, like you were everywhere. Like, everyone was wanted to know who you were. Well, everyone did know who you were, like your voice was like everywhere. Like I think I rewatched your interview the other day. Obviously, you sang your song, and it's been viewed like nearly like 45 million times.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's bizarre. Like it definitely was just weird because like I was not popular in school. I was not well known in my town. I
Yeah.
was an absolute nobody. I was a reject because I was in an emo circle of friends, and I didn't make life easy for myself at all. And then just go with like overnight to people, I don't know, subtly like caring and wanting to know
Yeah.
these things about you. It was just super duper weird, just to just on a local level, like not even like the UK level that it
Yeah.
kind of spread out to, or even the internet and stuff. Just coming into school one day and having my school bully, who bullied me like so bad for years, sit down at my dinner table and try and talk to me. I was like,
That's not happening. That's not how this
not
works.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not cute, is it?
No.
So that
Do
was just strange.
do you like, and I'm going to sound like a little bit of I'm going to throw this question out there, but obviously feel free not to answer it. But
Sorry.
if you could kind of give yourself like that 16-year-old Janet advice
Mm.
and say, like, well, what would you say? Like, if you were, if obviously if you're having some weird out of body experience and you had that chance, what would you say to 16-year-old Janet?
Oh my God. Do you know what I would do? I would just tell her what my mental disorders are because so much stuff would
Wow.
just make so much more sense. Because there's a lot of things, especially with BPD, where like you forget that you've been sad before with BPD almost.
Oh,
So every
wow.
time you get sad, it feels like the first time you've ever been sad. So that's why these things feel so incredibly overwhelming because your
Yeah.
body forgets that you've made it out of it before. So it feels like the actual end of the world. So if I could just
That's a
kind of go
lot,
back,
though. That's a lot.
yeah, that's why it's a raucous little mental disorder. So it's the same with like sadness, but it's also the same with happiness. Like you forget. So every time you get really happy,
Yeah.
it's like the first time you've ever been happy, and it's great. But I would just go back and be like, "Hey, babes, you have BPD and bipolar type 2. Just do your research.
Good luck. Peace
Good
out.
luck." Yeah, that would be enough because if I could have just like Googled the stuff that I was going through,
Yeah.
I would have been like, "Oh, this makes so much sense." I would have also saved myself a lot of money. Like,
So many
or I'd
benefits to this.
probably, yeah, that or just tell myself that I was an alcoholic,
Yeah.
something just real practical, just being like, hey, don't
Heads
drink.
up.
Because I never really was that big of a fan of alcohol when I was
Yeah.
younger. Like I was known in my friendship circle as the one that didn't drink, which is hilarious that I'm the alcoholic. So it'd be just something small like that, just be like, hey babes, just never drink. Just don't do it. You're just gonna ruin everything. Stop.
But I
So
think
that's
it's like it's solid advice though, and I think you can apply it to because you kind of mentioned then about like the alcoholism, and again, this is one of the reasons why I want to talk to you because the documentary, like, I always get like a little bit like, when like someone who has been like through these kind of processes makes kind of like a show like that, but I took so much away from that documentary. Like for anyone who hasn't seen it, obviously it's still on the iPlayer now. Like
yeah.
you need to go and watch it because you don't realize until you kind of watching this by people who have been through it and are still going through it, talking about it. You realize like how serious kind of alcoholism, especially like in young females, like some of the things that you were kind of like the statistics and stuff that you were going through. I was just like, how is this a thing?
Yeah, it's really unspoken about here in the UK because
Yeah.
it's the documentary focuses on young women in Northern Ireland, but it's young people in the UK,
Yeah.
realistically. It's more than just young women. We just focused on that because the statistics have taken such a stark turn. We beat
Yeah.
Scotland in like the alcohol related deaths in young women in the UK. So
Yeah.
woo, go us. We stole it from Scotland, but it's a big problem here in the UK. And
Yeah.
that's what I realized, especially with my direct messages being open, it wasn't just young women reaching out to me, it was young guys as well.
Yeah.
It really, really is a massive issue. Like we have a very toxic drinking culture,
Yeah.
that like for so long people get away with being alcoholics because we don't ever want to take someone's right to drink away from them almost.
Yeah.
Like, I remember even in my own alcoholism where people would give me so many passes to try again and try alcohol again, because it was like, I can't imagine you having to live a life without alcohol. And it's like, it's not the end of the world realistically.
No.
But, it's definitely a funny one whenever people get really offended at the fact that I don't drink. That one's my personal favorite, because it's like, you are outing yourself for having a very unhealthy relationship with
Relationship,
alcohol.
yeah.
If you think it's the end of the world that I can't drink ever again, you may need to reassess your
That's
relationship
your
with
relationship,
booze,
yeah.
because it shouldn't be that important to you.
Do you
But
think that kind of like journey and that kind of realization, because I imagine there, you mentioned like, obviously throughout the documentary that there were quite a lot of kind of like low points.
mm,
Is there like, do you look back on those low points now and be like, do you know what? I'm like proud of that kind of journey, not proud of the journey, like
mm.
that kind of appreciates it a little bit more. The fact like, especially where you are today and now being able to use your voice to help so many others.
Yeah, I mean, it's mental in the sense of like, I didn't have anywhere to live. I was basically homeless, but I
Yeah.
never tell people that, because like, I don't want to be one of those artists that are like, oh, I was homeless chic.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't have anywhere to live, so I had to end up living with my manager, who took me in, bless his soul. And also I was living on like £35 a week. I had no money,
Wow.
and I was somehow managing to still be an alcoholic in that time. Like, I wasn't eating properly. I was just drinking myself to death, and it was, it was awful. So when I look at that time of my life, and I'm able to, like, just something so small, like, I don't know, like, I can go to the shop now and not be like, when I do my debit card swipe, I don't
Yeah.
panic. That's a weird feeling. Like, I'm not the most well-off person in the world by absolutely no means. I pay myself a very small salary. But basically, like, just that feeling of like not dying when I go to the shop, wondering if I can afford the
Yeah.
groceries that I'm just buying, like, is just the biggest blessing in the world. And that's just the base level. Whenever you put everything else on top of it, like, I get to live a creative existence. I get to do music as a job. I get to make funny, stupid videos on the internet for a living. I'm like, what is life, man? I don't know, but it's all through the, even though I was destroying myself in those days when I was,
Yeah.
broken and alcoholic, like, I still persevered. Like, I still got up in the morning and I still went to work and I still made music and I still did it. So I'm just glad that I didn't, fall even further into addiction than I already did,
Yeah.
but that's not through me. That's, one, by the grace of God, and two, by the grace of the people in my life. Like, I'm very blessed to have a very lovely team and a lovely family that just wouldn't let me, end up in the streets,
Yeah.
basically.
No,
So,
it's, you know what, it's, thank you for being so open and honest with that, because it is genuinely conversations like this that they really not take me back, but like I'm quite taken back from, because I'm just like,
mm,
you don't realize the severity of whether it's addiction, whether it's mental health issues, until
mm,
you kind of have these conversations. And I mean, not to kind of compare it at all, like I'm not doing that, but like to have two people here who have lived very different kind of lives, but kind of have like the mental struggles of like
mhm,
going through things, have this kind of very open, raw and honest conversation, is
mm,
exactly why the waffle shop exists, because I didn't know there was anyone else out there going through these things.
yeah.
And so thank you again. if 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 for anyone is listening to this who kind of
Mm.
feels like on the level or experience anything, like, what advice would you throw their way?
So this is a really tough one because I get this a lot, and
Yeah.
I'm actually considering going and studying to become a sober coach. Part
Amazing.
Just like a part-time study course, just so, because I feel really bad because I get a lot of people coming to me every single day for advice on getting sober,
Yeah.
and I can only give them my one lived experience, like what's worked for me. Whereas there are lots of routes for people, and lots of ways that people can get sober, and lots of different approaches and things. And I feel really bad that I'm not as educated in those things as I'd like to be. So I'm thinking of like maybe when the tour is all done and all this kind of stuff, that I might pursue getting my degree and being a sober coach, just so I can help people a little bit more. Because it's a really blessed position to be in, that people trust me enough to like come to me for advice,
Yeah.
and they trust me enough to share their stories, because I know that that's really hard, especially with alcoholism, because there's a lot of guilt and shame in and around
Yeah.
it. So the fact that people are willing to be open to me is not something that I also take for granted. But yeah, for me, all of my advice is always the same, you know what I mean? It's like, I always recommend going to AA, and that is literally just because that's what worked for me. So this is
Yeah.
my wee catch 22 where I'm stuck, because I can only give the advice that worked for me. But the thing about AA that worked for me was the fact that I was sat in a room of people who had something that I wanted. You know, they had sobriety and I didn't. But how come they could and I couldn't? You know, but at the same token, if they could, then so could I. Because I heard the stories of these people that were somewhere worse off than I was. And I was like, well, if they could get sober, then why the frick can't
Yeah.
I? You know, like I can do that. That's absolutely doable. So I think it's more so whether or not AA is for you, but it's surrounding yourself with people of a like mind. However you can achieve that by, you know, it can even be online. You can meet people online who also are struggling with alcohol. It's just, you need to put yourself around people that also want to be sober and get sober. And for me, like personally, I am abstinence only based recovery.
Yeah.
um and that's what I preach about. I just think it's the easier option. It sounds like the harder one, but it's, you spend all of these hours in your life trying to control drinking, whereas the freedom you get from not having to try and control it is just unbelievable. So that's my only advice. But again, like I said, I think I might just go and get my wee part-time in sober coaching, so I can just help a wee bit more.
No, I'd honestly, that is brilliant. Like, I was generally like lost in every word, and I took kind of like two things away from what you just said, is the fact that, you know, you can do anything that you put your mind to, like even
Mm.
in kind of like the darkest kind of like hours, and you feel like there is no kind of like, things don't get better. But like, I mean, both of us are kind of sat here now, like coming through that kind of storm, and like it has proof
Mm.
that things like do get better. And I mean, I think you'd agree with, even like obviously with your music and stuff, that beautiful things can be born from like really painful, dark experiences. And
Absolutely.
I say it a lot on the show, but again, like just hearing that, it's just again proof that you can do anything in this life, but like the one thing you can't do is like give up. And
Hmm.
it's, ah, thank you. I keep saying thank you.
No, no, it
Because it
is
is
true.
brilliant
Like,
advice.
it just, the giving up thing is so real. It's like, it's just as long as, you know, you're still trying. Because what is that thing where it's like, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is sometimes the bravest thing in the world is the little voice in your head at the end of the day that says, we'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I really love that quote, because it's so true. Like, it's just like, as long as you're trying your best and as long as you're not giving up. And sometimes I fully bloody believe in giving up. What if your
Yeah.
job isn't serving you? Give it up. Go pursue something that you love. Obviously, that sounds really privileged. I mean more so in the sense of like, if you have options, absolutely take them. You know, like if something isn't serving you, then sometimes it is okay to give it up. Like with me and alcohol, it's fine to give things up if they're not serving you anymore. If there are ways that you can take a risk and try and pursue something else, if it means you want to change jobs, if there's a way for you to take a nighttime course or an online course or just something that you know is just going to help you out in the long run, it's like, you know, sometimes it's totally chill to give up on things.
That is brilliant. Absolutely. I feel like generally that's the best bit of advice like I've ever heard on this show.
No, I don't know about that. I just
No,
hope people don't see
honestly.
it as me being like, just quit your job. Because I'm like, I'm not Molly May
Like,
Haig. I'm not
yes.
telling you that, like,
We've
you
all got the
know,
same
like,
24 hours.
oh, get in the sea. I hate that. No,
Oh
no, no,
no.
no.
I'm
What I'm saying
not a fan. I'm not a
is,
fan.
possible, then absolutely, you know, do it. Like that just quote ruined my life. We've all got the same
Yeah.
24 hours a day, babes.
Not a
No,
fan. To
no,
be
no,
fair, I was speaking of 24 hours in the day.
no.
Obviously, quite a lot of your hours in the day are going to be like spent on your tour.
Hmm.
I want, obviously, it's not that deep.
Hmm.
what can people expect? Are you like raring to go? Because obviously the past 2 years have kind of took obviously a lot of live music away from people. Like, are you raring to go now and get back out there?
So I did a tour last year. We managed to do
Oh,
it.
well, okay. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. Missed
It's
that
all
one.
right. I'm still raring to go. We did a full band tour and we traveled to the UK and it was great. And it was the confessional tour for the last album because obviously with COVID, things were pushed. But we did manage to get out there in, I think it was September or November. No, it was September. So we did manage to get out, thank God. But now we're hitting the road again. It's a stripped back acoustic vibe. And I'm going to be playing stuff from the new record that I'm working on, which is wee bit country. Just going to bridge into that. Let's see how that goes. But it's going to be good crack. Like I'm excited. I love it. Like playing shows is amazing, but also like I stick around at the end of every gig. Because it's the Irish in me. Like I need to tell everybody thank you for coming, like it's a priest at the end of mass.
Queue up at the end.
Because I don't know if you've ever been to Irish mass. The priest stands at the end of the church and greets everybody as they go out. I'm like, I have to do this at my gig because I'm just like, thank you so much for coming. I can't believe you made it, because it's not easy. People think going to a gig is super duper easy, and it's not. Because
do you think there's like room for like a Janet Devlin confession box?
Maybe. I did on the confessional tour. I took a confessional booth on tour and I read confessions out on stage. Great thought. Great idea.
That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Some of the confessions we got. So basically, people would write their confessions. The band would go through them before we went on stage, pick the best ones, and then I'd read them out loud, like in between songs and stuff.
Was there like a few bad...
Just some of the stuff was just unbelievable, man. Like I can't even just single one out, but just know that like there was audible gasping from the audience. Like it was that bad.
I mean, I don't even need to know, but yeah. So with the like the live shows, and obviously you're saying like it's stripped back, I imagine, are they more vulnerable? Like, do you feel better naked. When they're not better, but like safer in a way? Do you say naked?
I said naked. I feel naked.
Like without the full band, so it's a bit more. Well, it's very intimate, isn't it? The acoustic shows.
It is. There's something terrifying about it, because the last tour, I hadn't gone on tour with a full band in ages, and it was just, I don't know. It's like amazing camaraderie, but also like you feel very protected on stage because there's so many bodies there and there's so many things to look at. Like it's not just you. Whereas like I'm only going on the road now with 2 musicians. It's a guitar player and a mandolin player.
Wow.
And I'm petrified because it's like it is stripped back. It is vulnerable. Like it's just it's gonna be a lot. But I love it. Like I'll have a blast. But it's definitely just gonna be that wee bit more hard work in a different way. Because with the full band, you're spending more of your energy trying to give an energetic performance. Whereas with the stripped down set, you're kind of more attaching yourself to like emotions and feelings. So it's going to be emotionally a lot. But I'm excited for it. Like hopefully I'll make some people cry. That's always fun. Love that.
Favorite thing to do.
Yeah, favorite pastime. But obviously there'll be upbeat songs in there as well. So
it's looking forward to it. I'm coming to the Hare and Hounds in Birmingham.
So Thank you.
I'm very excited.
I hope it's good. I hope it's good.
I know. My God, they're like, Oh, you'll see at the end shaking my hand. Like, well, it
was okay.
Yeah, it was well done. Well done.
You tried.
I have a final few set of questions for you. And again, I love having musical guests on to answer these questions because I like to see the cogs turning. But recently I became the 5th member of Bewitched, which obviously from your hometown. Homeland, that's the word. Because their song C'est la vie gets me on the dance floor every single time.
Yep.
I want to know what gets you on the dance floor.
Oh my gosh. If I'm being honest, probably Juice by Lizzo.
Oh, yes.
I love it. Or Tempo or Juice by Lizzo. And I'm like
anything.
Yeah, anything by Lizzo, realistically. just excites me to no end because her music is just so positive. I love it. I
Yeah.
live for it. So if the DJ's playing Lizzo, I'm ready to go. I'm ready.
I like that. I rate that. I like that a lot.
Thank you very much.
On the flip side of that, obviously you mentioned that you want to make people cry on tour when obviously with your songs. What song makes you cry? Like what like brings you right down into the feels?
So many. The one that I thought of just straight off the top of my head is it's from a really dark time in my life, like where I was having relationship troubles, you know, and I was just dating an F boy and they ghosted me and we'd been dating for 8 months and then they just ghosted me out of the blue. So that was great. I was living the dream. And
What
I
time
just
to
had
be alive?
what a time to be alive. How can I live, laugh, love in these conditions, you know? I was listening to Barcelona by JP Sachs,
Oh, okay.
which is a really random curveball, I know, but it's like if anyone has 5 minutes to go and listen to it, it's probably not that sad to everyone else, but it was because it was my birthday and I just kind of expected him to be there. But basically in the song, that's kind of one of the things that he says, you know, like that he was reminiscing about being at our birthday party or whatever. And it was a deep cut for me. I don't know if it will be a deep cut for everybody else, but if they've got 5 minutes, JP Sachs in general is amazing. But I just love Barcelona.
I'm gonna add it to my sad playlist.
I do have a sad playlist. Like it's my favorite thing. I can't remember what it's called. It's called something funny, but it
Mine's
gives
just
me
sad
life.
in capital letters.
Just
SAD.
amazing, original. We love
Straight to
it.
the point. You know what you get. Straight up the cuff.
Mine's got something to do with crying in it, and I'm just like, true, relatable.
Oh, it does its job. It does its job.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, this has genuinely been like worth the wait. Like it has been my face is actually aching from like laughing, and that's obviously always a good sign.
Yes.
With the tour, you mentioned obviously with the new album. Final thing, when can we expect the new album, or is there anything you can tell us about it?
I am trying my gosh darn hardest to get these songs written. I was just having a bit of a rough patch there at the start of the year I was on a medication that I didn't realize was great, but also took away my ability to write songs. I had no access to my feelings. So I was turning up to writing sessions and I was like, my songwriting sucks right now.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself because I'm like, I should quit. And I'm like, babes, no, it's literally your job. You write songs. It's fine. Just you think you're not a songwriter because you can't write a song right now. It's fine. So I had a bit of a rough start, but I've changed meds now. So after the tour, I'm going to get back in and do some more writing. Really, really focus hard on just getting it done as quickly as possible. I don't want it to be a long, drawn out experience at all. I want it to be as quick and as painless as possible. So if people follow me on
I
social
love
media,
how honest you are.
Oh, it's all I've got. I suck at lying.
Well, so all these interviews, like,
no, I just can't.
It's like, what was your creative process? Don't know, just like ripping off a plaster, quick and painless, get it over and done with, on to the next one.
It is always really funny though when people ask you like about your music, because sometimes you're just like, I wrote it because it sounded nice. That's it. That's as deep as it went. But you know, here we are.
This again, at least you're honest. It's like, Johnny, it was like, yeah, stubbed my toe. That's what that one's about.
Yeah.
I had a paper cut that day.
One of my saddest songs is called Better Now, and it's literally got a SpongeBob the SquarePants quote in it. Yeah.
Oh, wait, hang on. Is this the one that you did with the orchestra as well? There's an orchestra version of this.
Yeah. It's really sad. I did a music video with horses and I galloped around Ireland and it was really dramatic.
God, how dramatic.
I know. I was like,
I always wanted to do that.
Yeah. That was my best music video moment where I'm just like, I am a diva right now. I am in the Irish countryside on a Frisian galloping around whilst cameras follow me. That was a moment. But
was it in black and white?
No, we went full color.
I
the green grass of Ireland, my guy. You can't put that in black and white.
True.
But there's a line in it that's glass bones, paper skin, and it sounds quite deep, but it's literally a SpongeBob SquarePants quote where the guys like they go to knock on this guy's door to sell him chocolate, and he's like, I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every day I wake up and I break my bones. And I just, yeah.
Wow.
It's my proudest moment
Wow.
of songwriting. Thank you.
Joe, I'm actually really impressed though, because if you hadn't have told me that, I probably would listen to that and been like, that is a beautiful lyric.
Hashtag deep. Hashtag relate.
Yeah.
Hashtag mood.
I might change. I might change the name of my playlist. Oh, that is absolutely brilliant. Huge respect for that. I respect you even more now because of that.
Thank you. It's an art that I take very seriously. It is my craft. The pen is my sword.
Well, no, you've ruined it now. No, you just stop it.
Stop diminishing your job.
Exactly, yes. Oh, honestly, you have been one of my favorite people to waffle with. Like, my face is I don't even know why I'm laughing at now. But honestly,
I love it.
I'm genuinely a fan, and so thank you for taking the time to have a waffle with me, but two, like, thank you for just being you and sticking with it, because I imagine there's a lot of people out there who haven't had the chance to kind of have this kind of conversation with you, and either your music or your honesty has touched them and helped them in a way that you probably will never realize. And just best of luck on the tour, because it's my first time seeing you live, so I'm very excited to see. So
I'm excited to play a show for you. I hope I don't mess it up, but just thank you so much for your kind words. I really, really appreciate it. And I just appreciate your time, and I appreciate what you're doing with this podcast. I think it's important to have these kinds of conversations, and in a fun and light way as well. Like, I think it's really important. So thank you so much for using your platform for good.
Thank you. I don't take compliments very well, so I'm going to end this call here.